Hey guys, Brian Hill, the Complete Combatant, little dry fire practice tune-up for you. This is March 18th, 2020. We're all stuck inside with COVID-19, so I thought I'd do some training and invite you guys into my training area. As you can see, I'm pretty lucky. I have about 15 yards in my basement. This wall behind me is underground and cement, so anything that would happen there would be pretty good. If I had an unintentional discharge, it's not going to be able to go anyplace. So that's a really safe direction for me. I have a lot of different targets up. Of course, you see Deadpool over here, got shot a little bit. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about some things that you could practice outside of just drawing regularly. I'm going to present the Mix 6 to you. I have a Mix 6 for rifles. I'm going to do some groundwork and some interactive drills. So we probably get quite a few videos out of this, and I'll keep them short. You can practice along with me and then take the drills and practice them on your own. This was information I was going to be presenting at TACCon, and since it's been canceled, unfortunately, I'll try to share it with you guys, and hopefully I'll see you next year at TACCon or see you on the road when classes get started. First and foremost is we want to be safe with this. So what I've done here is I've got a disabler inside. This one's hard plastic, so you can't even pull it out if you wanted to. So at this point, no ammunition could be loaded into the barrel, which is really important. There's no cartridges that can go in there. Now I'm going to use a magazine also, and what I do is I just fill them up with dummy rounds. So these are plastic inert rounds, and it gives me similar weight to if I was going to work with it. Now I'm going to lower this so it doesn't try to load one in there, and I just put the magazine in there. So now I have a really safe firearm, and I can check this two ways. You know, I see orange when I open it, so that's good. I want to see orange. That's a safe color for me. So from here on out, I'll feel safe pointing it at you through the camera here. It's going to be safe, and that's about the only way you can see me do this. If you carry concealed, all your work needs to be from concealment. We oftentimes see on the range, people show up with a different gun than the one they carry, and I think that's a mistake. Concealment changes things. Gabe White came up with a number of 0.25, a quarter of a second. Seems to be right on. With the number, unless you flub the draw, then you can double or triple that, and that's the big thing. A concealed draw is easy to create problems in. Now I'm carrying the appendix. We'll talk about strong side. Very similar. Some of you would never carry an appendix. I understand that. Keep those comments down. It's good to know. Wherever you carry it, be careful how you reholster, because you don't want to point the gun at you. If you point it in sideways, it's just as bad as if you point it in the front. So we need to be safe. Most people violate the muzzle discipline rule by pointing the gun at themselves quite often, even in practice. So we're going to try to be real safe with that and keep the muzzle moving. This is one of my favorite practices. Here in Georgia, we don't have a brandishing law. So if I felt that I had enough distance or an intermediate barrier between me like a car, I might use this technique to dissuade somebody from coming further forward if they haven't committed to the attack already. So if there was somebody with a knife, and we had a good distance and we had an intermediate barrier, this would be my particular thing. And if we look at a lot of use of force, this is probably where it stops at. Now, a lot of us practice drawing and shooting the first shot, so we don't always want to do that. So this is a good way to practice. What we're going to do is we're going to draw to a low ready, we're going to issue a verbal command, and then either we're going to holster or we're going to practice firing one shot. Okay? We'll do it back and forth so we get good at both. The key to this is to make sure that the finger doesn't go on the trigger until the sights are on the target and you've made a decision to shoot. You've got to chain all that together. It's got to be a part of the process. It can't be a part of just automatically drawing my finger goes to the trigger. It has to be a part of making a decision to shoot. All right? I want to be in a good stance, in a fighting stance, so we'd be ready to move from the position. Okay? People like to say either hands up or hands down. There's going to be times where it may be one or the other. Okay? I would suggest practicing both. Okay? We'll start with our hands up here. What I want to do is my left hand's going to go and pinch the shirt just to the side of my belly button, and it's just going to raise it enough that my hand can come into it. Now as the gun comes out, what I want it to do is clear the holster and move into a straight line towards the person, towards where the person is, but beside them. Okay? And I'm going to go to a low ready here. Okay? Now, in order to transfer from here, it's just a simple movement and touching the trigger. Okay? I know from practice and from running classes that most people can do that in about a quarter of a second. It's very quick. This position is called the compressed ready, And it's not really a ready position because, as you notice right now, the muzzle's pointing at you. In our laws, I've committed aggravated assault by pointing the weapon at you now. Okay, so I have to make sure that force is ready and usable here. At this point, I haven't done anything wrong in Georgia. So you have to check your laws and see which is correct for you. This is a good intermediate place. I'm going to issue a verbal command. Get away from me! See, I said it very loud, and I moved, and maybe the dogs are going to bark because it was pretty loud. But it gives me a chance to practice that. Okay, he decides to attack anyway. The gun comes up to the eye level, finger comes to the trigger, and we gently press the trigger to the rear. Okay, so I've had a little bit of practice there. Now I come back to the low ready, and I take a second to visualize what I do afterwards. I'm going to take the gun back. I'm going to work the striker so it's ready to go again. Now I want to be really slow and methodical here. I'm going to push my hips forward. Okay, and I'm going to make sure everything's clear, and I will look it into the holster. Now, if there's any threat still, I should not put it in the holster. If the threat's over and I'm safe, then I can put it back into the holster. Okay? I should look it back into the holster because if I've used force, I'm probably going to be pretty nervous at that time, and that's probably the most dangerous time I will holster my firearm. So looking it in and getting my eyes to be a part of it would be really, really important. Okay? If you keep your eyes downrange and you're going to holster still, that means that you've lost one of your safety systems, and you may get a gunshot wound of your own for your purposes. So be real careful with that. So here's my position. I'm going to practice from here. Hey sir, you're making me nervous. Will you back up? Get away from me. Now I see it, and I'm going to draw to a low ready. Now notice I'm looking at him. Okay? In my eyes I can see the sights. I can see the red dot. And then I issue a command. Get away from me! All right? And he gets away from me. So the gun goes to low ready. Have a little look around. Don't be too theatrical with it. Just open up your eyesight. Now bring the gun back in, take your time, and clear. Okay? And then we do the same thing again. Now this time, he's going to charge anyway, despite my best chances. So I'm going to go here, I draw, get away from me! And I practice that. Okay? Now I've stayed in the moment, I've stayed in the process, I've made the decision, there's no more shooting to do. And I look it back into the holster and push my hips out. Now this doesn't really change if you're over here. If I have an open jacket, I just simply rake it out of the way. All right. If I have closed front, I'm going to bring my hand over here and pull it out of the way. If it's very tight, I may need both hands to do that. I'll cover that in a future video to make sure you guys get a chance with that. So let's look at it again. This is called the fig leaf position. All right, I have my hands down. It gives me a little more quick access to the shirt, but it's not defensible. I could take a punch or a kick, so I would never do this at close range. We're talking about beyond social distance here. We're talking car length at least, if not more, in this position. Okay. Now, I'm going to draw to a low ready. Okay. It's very difficult to do because I practiced so many times going to the target. All right. Now I'm going to issue a verbal command. Back up! Okay. All he left. So I take my finger off the trigger and I slow down and I bring it back into position. Slow everything down. Take a little look around. Work my way back to the holster. Make sure my finger's far away from it. All right, so we've got a good practice here. We're going to see what kind of draw times we can do. We add a little pressure to our training. Once we understand drawing to a low ready, we need to see how long it takes. Okay, so my friend, the timer. Timer should be here because it measures you and it allows you to see how fast you're developing your skills. If you don't measure it, you don't know how good you are. And it's really important to measure things. So let's set this for maybe 1.5 seconds for you guys. Okay. Hard to do on the camera. Okay, 1.5 seconds. Now, this would be my limit of a defensible draw because I haven't aimed or anything at this point. I'm just drawing the firearm. So if it takes me 1.5 seconds and it takes me 1/4 second to aim or 0.2 seconds, I'm at a 1.7. I want something 2 seconds and under. So this is a good starting point for us. All right. Now this will have a delay. So we're waiting for the beep to try to react to the beep, but we're going to draw to low ready and we're going to keep our finger off the trigger. Let's see how this works out for us. Back up! Good. Now, I had plenty of time. That was an easy amount of time for me to accomplish that. So let's try it one more time if you're trying at home. So this is a 1.5 seconds. Now, whenever my dog hears the timer, he gets very excited. He's been trained to be a tactical puppy. Right now, he's right outside the door giving me some whines because he wants to be in here helping me. It's not helping. He likes to jump on me while I do this, so I get a little crowd control. But I've locked him out so we can spend some time together. All right, let's look at it again. Here comes the par timer. This time, let's try it with hands up. So no problem. Made the par time. Okay. Back up. Get away from me. That time I went to finger to the trigger. Now fingers off and bring it back in. Okay. Now I'm going to make sure I look it into the holster. Good. So now we're practicing speed mode. So we're going to be getting quicker as we go along. So 1.5 seconds we've been able to make. So let's see if we can go a little quicker. If you have one of these, you can put it on your smartphone too. They make an app for it. I'm going to take us down to 1-2. Okay, so it's fairly quick. Nothing wrong with 1-2. It's a good draw. All right, we need to be efficient. We need to be prepared that we're going to draw. We need to visualize what we're about to do. So I want you to visualize the activity, and then I want you to exhale before you do it. Okay, this time we'll do it hands down. Show me your hands. Breath, and work it back into the holster. So if you see what happened right there, I got a little bit of my shirt. So now I've got a problem. So I have to be extra careful to make sure I don't get caught up in the shirt. Happens if you're wearing undershirts sometimes. I wear compression shirts on the range, but when we're doing work at home, I just did it in my regular clothes, and this is how I carry every day. So it gives you a good chance to see. Now, gun's back in the holster. Same drill, but the hands up this time. Drawing to a low ready, finger off the trigger. 1-2 is the par time. Okay, stand by. Okay, no problem making it. Now we're going to issue a command. Show me your hands! Okay, that time he came up with a knife and a gun or his hands. Whatever it is, he started to move towards me. So I had to use force. Now I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to work my way back. And I'm going to put myself back in there. Now this becomes the problem. You know, you have to really tuck in. I'm not going to do that to you people on camera. You're scarred enough, I'm sure, in life without seeing me drop my pants and tuck my shirt in. But the shirt's an issue now. All right, final time we want to work on. So we're going to do a second here. Okay, you always want to do a time that's a little quicker than you're able to do. Because much like running sprints, you want to be practicing getting faster. Okay, and the only way you can do that is to be uncomfortable. And you have to do a speed that's actually faster than you're comfortable with. So 1 second draw to a low ready. We'll practice it in both positions. Okay? Remember to visualize. Get the preparatory index. Feet, hands, and body towards the target. Eyes focused. Give him the intention that you're willing and ready to fight if you have to now. You've taken cover. You've gotten yourself the most distance. You're ready to do this. So now the hands are down. Okay? Back up! He's gone. So I'm practicing not getting on that trigger each time. And for speed shooters, that's pretty hard. Okay, 1 second, no problem for me to make it, but at home it may be a little quicker for you. So make sure you practice that. Get a timer, get your smartphone set up with a beeper, and you'll be able to get after this pretty quick. Every time you start making it, you drop it by 1/10. Okay, so if it was in my real practice, it'd be about a 0.7 for me on this. I can't really do it any quicker than that. I can do the physical motions, and I'll practice that for other things, but to really get to a good draw and low ready, I can't do that. Now, for me, hands up is a 1/10 slower. So we may see a little bit of difference. This time we're going to do it with hands up. We're interacting with the person. We're talking to them. We got the hands up. Stay right where you are, sir. I need you to back up. Just barely made it, but I got the low ready. Now I'm a little high. I drove a little bit. You know, I was talking and moving, so I got to be careful. Stayed off the camera. All right, back up. Show me your hands. Now I gave him 2 commands. It's not a good idea to do 2. We want to give 1 alpha command. If I tell him to back up and show me your hands, what do you think is going to happen? Well, I'm going to get 2 things at once, or I'm going to get nothing. Okay? Show me your hands would always be the most important one, because if they're hidden, Or if I want more distance or I want him to go away, I want to communicate that. Okay? And in all likelihood, I would be moving while we're doing this. So we're going to make sure the shirt's out of the way, and we tuck it back in. So there's your first drill, drawing to a low ready, finger discipline, and muzzle discipline. These are the two primary safety rules. All right? You should be good at muzzle discipline. Don't point the muzzle at anything you're not prepared to destroy. Keep your finger off the trigger until the sights are on the target and you've made a decision to shoot. The primary rules of handling pistols. You've got to be good at it. So you guys that draw a lot and fire instantly, remember, you may have trained yourself to automatically fire, and that may be not right for the situation. It's hard to tell. It's contextual. All right? And those really good tactical shooters that like to do this, they have an extremely high register. It's very safe. But what I also notice is when it's time to get on the trigger, it takes a long time. So we need to find how long does it take me to go from here to here, here to here, here to here. Now, some of you probably got flashed with a laser. The SIRT pistol is really useful for that because I have a resetting trigger. So I'm practicing the quickness. I've made a decision to shoot. Boom. That's very helpful for us to get in that habit. So there's your self-defense practice for today. I hope it helps you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Remember, I'm a human being. I'll make mistakes, and that's why we practice. The mistakes don't define who you are. They help you become who you want to be in the future. The guy of yesterday is full of mistakes. All right, we practice today to get rid of that. We're going to get better each time, and we've got to eliminate the mistakes right here where we're in a safe environment. Think as deeply about this in the context as possible and see if it would be useful in your self-defense training. I'm Brian Hill with the Complete Combatant, and thanks for tuning in for our dry practice session.